What are the main actions of the dorsal interossei? They are dab muscles. There, second grade writing. So the main action is to abduct, right? What else do? They are synergists for lumbricals. So that is flex MCP joint and extend the IP joints. That means there are two very different actions, so there must be two separate insertions, and there are. So if you look at your hand here, there's the first dorsal interosseous muscle. If you abduct digit 2 away from 3, you can see the belly or palpate it and see it move. You can palpate right here and see it goes to metacarpal 1 and it also goes to metacarpal 2. All the dorsal interossei are double-headed, so they should be drawn double-headed. And the origin is what? Head, base, shaft. It's the shafts. So the dorsal interossei, the fourth one, is to digit 4. So it's double-headed and it only comes off the shafts. So you can't draw it on the head. If it has a double insertion, where does it go? Well, it abducts digit 4 away from digit 3. A number of you, when you were drawing muscles in here, didn't even have it cross the abducting joint, like abductor digiti minimi. Some of you drew abductor digiti minimi like this. It's not even crossing the abducting joint, which is here. Right? Synovial, biaxial, ellipsoid joint. Plus, the origin is wrong. The origin for abductor digiti minimi is on the pisiform. Right? And it goes on the corner, which means the abductor side and the flexor side, because it flexes and abducts. So the muscle should have looked like this. So make sure you look at the body, do the O and I, and picture it, and then go draw it on the mounted skeleton. And if we outline it so it looks a little prettier, it would be like that. Back to the fourth dorsal interosseous. It abducts digit 4 away from 3. If it abducts, it goes to the abductor side, the base of the proximal phalanx of digit 4. And then it goes into the extensor expansion. A number of you didn't draw the extensor expansions correctly. The extensor expansion starts here on the base of the proximal phalanx and a little bit of the shaft, and then it goes dorsal. And then it goes dorsal, covering parts of 2 phalanges. Each triangle crosses the IP joint. So the other one is here, and it tends to stay dorsal rather than being lateral and then dorsal. So there's an extensor expansion. I do this because it's fun. There, that's enough. Then, if it acts like a lumbrical, you have to keep drawing the distal tendon all the way to the distal phalanx to show me you know it flexes here as it crosses the MCP joint and extends the proximal and distal IP joints. So I always should see, for lumbrical interosseous, the extensor expansion drawn like this, just the 2 main lines of triangle. And the distal forking tendon, up like that. Or if it's on the other side, up like that. Right? So that's a dorsal interosseous. A lumbrical, what's lumbrical mean? Worm. So they're the wormy muscles. They're also called the bye-bye muscles. So they are the wormy bye-bye muscles. Right? Wormy muscles originate off fishing lines, not off bone. Do they have forking tendons? What are their actions? They only do this. Right? They flex the MCP joint and extend the IP joint. So there's one tendon that rolls. So if I draw on my left hand, since I'm right-handed, there's the fishing line. The fishing line runs through the carpal tunnel, which is in the center, and is about that wide. So it runs this way to the distal phalanx, so that's flexor digitorum profundus. There's a little belly that's long and thin along the fishing line. Then what happens? Well, it has to get to the extensor expansion, which starts over here. So it comes across the flexor side of the MCP joint and then goes laterally and then rolls dorsally. Now it'll affect the IP joints on the extensor side. So it extends these and flexes this. So that's a lumbrical. Worms are thin and long, coming off a fishing line for all you fishermen out there, and then the distal tendon rolls over to the extensor side. So in planar view, you would draw flexor digitorum longus tendon through the carpal tunnel all the way to the distal phalanx. Then the wormy muscles, they're always on the digit 1 side. Right? So that means the tendon is there. We draw on the extensor expansion. I guess I'm just using all bluey. So the belly's long and thin, it crosses on the digit 1 side. All right, it can't be here because it has to go lateral to get to the extensor expansion. A few people had the muscle in there somewhere. And that's a lumbrical, and that's a dorsal interosseus. Now see if you can do a plantar interosseus. That's the end of today's lesson. Bye.